Today's video, we're going to be checking out the DC Collectibles. This is the Batman animated series Joker Expressions Pack. As this figure has somewhat of a tough time standing due to this foot right here. I've cheated and just used the display stand that comes included with the figure. That being said, let's go ahead and figure out how tall he is. The answer to that, factoring in his hat, the figure is just a little over 6¼ inches, almost close to 6½ inches. We'll do this in two parts. First looking at the display stands, then looking at all the accessories that come included with Mr. J. First things first, a rather large, clear display base that has a series of multiple holes to it. It looks like a plastic slice of Swiss cheese. Why all the extra holes, you may ask? Well, Joker does come with an adjustable neck, which can fit into any one of these holes. Making sure, of course, you've got the right end going. Can fit into any one of the holes, and then you can attach the clip onto the end of it. Still doesn't really answer why it has all these extra holes to it. Well, actually, if you have the Batman Expressions pack as well, I think you can actually put the adjustable neck in one of those other slots, and you can have Batman and Joker fighting on a much larger display base, which is actually good. I like that. The neck is debatably loose. It does feel like it's a little on the loose side, but it does have a hinge here, a hinge at the top, and also you've got your waist clip, all of which is clear plastic, so hopefully you don't have any problems with these eventually breaking on you. But it's neat that they would include something like that. And of course, the other thing that it comes included with as well is a white display stand, which I find is one of the most trickiest stands to get into place. The problem is that the peg pops out, if you can see it right there. So any bit of pressure putting it down, say for example, I don't know, on the hole of a foot, pushes the peg down. So you may want to actually hold the peg with your hand and then attach it to the foot. It's not the most secure of fits, and you really do struggle by getting it into place. But at the very least, Joker now has, if you ask me, a very needed display stand, because that one foot, I mentioned before, angled feet on some of these figures. Joker's notorious for having one right here, and it ultimately means that the figure just doesn't stand very well without that stand. So, crucial to use this. Wish this was clear like that stand instead of a very bold white, but at the very least, he does include that. There's a reason why he's called the Joker's Expression Pack. He comes with a lot of expressions. To be fair, he actually comes with a lot of other stuff as well. Before we get to Joker's Expressions, let's look at all the accessories that he comes with. He comes with a inflatable duck raft, which is really a nice touch, painted in a very soft light green with some polka dots here of a orange, which matches that of the duck build. It's of a slightly softer material, actually mimics that of an inflatable raft, so I do like that quite a bit. I don't know if I would say it caters itself to the Joker with the trench coat. It kind of favors, I think, a little bit more Joker with the regular tailed purple jacket. So it does come with that. Comes with two different guns. One being the classic bang little flag gun, and then the other one is one with Joker's face, which is creepy, and yet still very, very cool. Of guns, though, he doesn't come with a Tommy gun, which I think for a trench coat Joker, this look specifically right here, I think really cries for the fact that he should have come also with a Tommy gun. Now, there are Tommy guns available between like the likes of Ventriloquist. I think also Two-Face came with Tommy guns that you could use those, but he really should have come with his own, I think, as well. These are great, don't get me wrong, but I think he also should have come with a Tommy gun as well. Then he comes with a pair, not one, but two, of very fiery pineapples. No, they're not pineapples, they're grenades, with very devilish smiles on them. They are small, and most likely of all the things that you get in this, the one thing that you're probably going to lose. So feast your eyes on it now before I lose these, now that I've jinxed myself by saying that. But they look pretty cool though. Very small, very intricate little faces painted on there. Comes with a series of hands, and actually these hands are pretty cool too. In fact, there's very little about this figure that I dislike. Well, we'll kind of get into those in a second. Comes with a series of different trigger hand holding or accessory holding hands. This one's specifically for the guns, or he also has just a gripping hand. Doesn't come with any laughing fish. Like, you kind of would think that this guy would be the definitive Joker, and yet then there's accessories that are missing that you kind of think, really? Laughing fish could have come with him. I know maybe re-released already, but another trigger hand and another gripping hand. These are actually pretty cool too. He comes with the robot Joker shooting gun hands, which I guess would be like this. That's pretty cool. I like that they included those. So if you want to have Joker as a robot, you can have that. You know, that's neat, pretty neat. Unfortunately, though, putting in any one of these hands into the sockets of his forearms, you will probably experience, as I've done this already, putting the hands in and out, it scrapes the paint off the peg. Yes, they've gone in and they've painted the peg point, the actual end peg that goes into the forearm. They painted that as well, which is really unnecessary, because every single time you put it in and pull it out of the socket, you're shaving off more and more of that paint. It really could have just been left off completely and only really painted the hands. I'm even getting like paint all over the backdrop here as I say that. So that's in a nutshell. Actually, you know what? We'll look at the faces too. I was going to say let's look at the figure, but we'll look at the faces. We'll look at the faces. Yeah, we'll look at the faces. I know everybody's kind of wanting to see the faces. Defaulted, this is how he looks when you get him out of packaging. No, the hat is not removable. It's molded to his head. But don't worry, Joker's got a various assortments of different interchangeable heads to choose from. The expressions pack, I find, brings us one step closer to a much more cartoon-accurate Joker face, which I thought the initial Joker head sculpt just didn't quite hit the marks. Definitely felt more like it was closer to being the toy than it did the actual cartoon counterpart. So this is his defaulted face with a very devilish smile. This is one of the heads that he has. Slightly more closed eye with a larger eye and a big smirk to the side. All the figures' faces share the exact same paint, in which you've got that reflective green lighting that's all around the front area of his head. His hair would be, I guess, green, but just the one little indication of the green on the front there. And that stays true pretty much, well, all the figures' heads, except for the one that comes with the hat. So there's that head, which I quite like. There's the hysterical Joker, where you see his tongue in there as well. Big open mouth, yellow teeth, same hairstyle. This is the one closest, I think, to the one that we initially got, which I don't think looks the greatest. In fact, of all the head sculpts, I think this one is the worst. Not to take anything away from the head sculpt, but I think when you compare it to so many better head sculpts that you get with this release, I think this is the weakest of the bunch. Weakest, and also it's one of the closest, I think, to the original one that we got from DC Collectibles. You also get this one here, which I really like this one as well. Big eyes on Joker. More of a frown, more of a surprised look, I suppose, on his face. Angry Joker. I like this one as well. Sympathetic or sympathizing Joker. I'm just kind of adding the expression names to these. And I also really like this one. This one might be my favorite. You got a little bit more of the lips showing. Very bold outlining around the eyeballs. Exactly how he appears in the cartoon. All of them plug in via a peg point on the back there. So there are your Joker expressions. Which one is your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. So anyways, I'm going to take this guy off his stand. At the time that you're seeing this video, I've yet to actually review the Expressions Batman pack, but his review will be coming up. I really should have done him first and then looked at the Joker, but nonetheless. So this is one instance, a rather interesting instance, in which I've always said in the past you could take the jacket off, but ultimately you're going to have the arms remaining. No, this actually is not the case. You're going to be removing the arms as well. Before we do that, here we have Trenchcoat Joker. He is missing a little bit something extra because, well, because you're going to be replacing it to the purple jacket, you can see these big noticeable grooves happening in his torso. And he also does seem like he's missing like a collar, so it just looks like he's got a floating sort of tie piece here. The jacket is a soft plastic. This reminds me of like the old Kenner figures. Detailing on the jacket and both the pants, shoes, everything very, very minimal. Not really much in the way of additional paint. Like I said, the hat isn't removable. It's affixed to his head. But not a bad looking look to this guy. I would not display him with this. That's my own honest opinion. For how much other cool stuff he has, this would be the less desired route for me to keep him in. One thing I just want to mention quickly before we start changing out stuff. Once again, his feet. Not so much this foot, but this foot here slightly sits on an angle. And as a result of that, he has a real tough time standing. So there is the Joker. Not really with the Tommy gun, which I really think he should have had, but I'm not too devastated by it because really I'm not going to keep him in this look anyways. To get him into any of the other desired looks, we're going to go ahead and take the arm out of the socket here, which I don't really like doing all that much, and I really probably won't do this too often. I don't want to take the gamble. Actually, you know what? We'll take the head off too, which is the easiest of things to take off. I don't like taking the arms off personally because I feel like those pegs, I don't see stress marks just yet. I've only done this a couple of times, but I definitely do not want to have problems down the road with it. So we'll go ahead and take the jacket off. Say goodbye to the trench coat. That's going to go to the side. And now we basically have a blank canvas. Bob Ross would be very thrilled by this, what he could do with this palette and this blank canvas of his. So there's a peg point on the back here, which actually, if you look at his tail to coat, he has somewhat the equivalent of that, although it doesn't stick out too far. So it doesn't really sit that far deep into his coat or into his torso area here. So let's first put the jacket on, like so. And you'll kind of see like these little grooves are supposed to be for the side of the coat that this pegs in. Being the fact that the jacket is rubber, it doesn't stay as well in as one would think, but that's pretty good though. That's as close as you're going to really be able to get it. Then we'll go ahead and take the arms, and again, be very careful putting everything in. I would advise, as mentioned already in this review, I would advise probably not doing this very often. Come up with a look, if anything, that you want for the Joker. The heads are one thing. The heads I'm not as worried about, but it's more so the arms. I don't want to be doing this too often. So there are the arms. Okay. Now we can go ahead and let's add, just for the time being, let's add some hands. We'll plug those into place. Every time I put these hands in, I cry just a little bit. I cry just a little bit because it's so squeaky, it's so tight. I don't want to run the risk, there we go, there's the shoulder popping out. I don't want to run the risk that the hands break, the pegs at least. Oh, it's just such a pain in the butt. Such a pain in the butt getting those hands in. So we'll go ahead and do it with the other hand. On the other hand, we'll wiggle it in. It's a really unforgiving space to work with. This one hand just doesn't... Oh, I don't like these pegs. Anyways. So we got the hands in place for the most part. Let's go ahead and pick a head out. I'm gonna go with this head. This is the kind of the one I said I liked the most, and it just pegs into the socket area of the head. There we go. And that, ladies and joins, that is a nice looking Joker. It's a little high on the shoulder area here. It does seem like it sits a little higher than it should. As a result, it looks like he kind of forfeits his neck as a result of it. But despite other than the fact that it just does seem like it sits a little too high, it's a nice looking Joker. And again, you can vary from different expressions, depending on which one fits your ideal Joker. And just to show you as well, you can go ahead and take the duck inner tube. You can put that also around his waist, which makes more sense than going the route of using the jacket. It just doesn't make sense to display him with that. DC Collectibles really thought of everything when it came to this particular Joker release, except for a few accessories. While I do think the heads are great, and even things like, you know, little inner tubes and stuff like that, he could have come with some extra accessories, like the laughing fish, for example, or like a Tommy gun. Things like that I think could have gone a long way also. For his posability, his head rotates theoretically all the way around, although it does seem like the shoulders sit a little higher on this guy. Arms hinge outward, rotate back and forth. You may find, as I've done it already, you may find as you're moving the arms, you may have to stop for a second, push it back in, and then you'll be able to move the arms again. Sometimes the joints the pegs just don't fully connect in. It's got a bend at the elbow, a rotation in the forearm. These pathetic hands. I'm gonna take this hand out altogether. I do not want to deal with this particular hand anymore. We'll see if we fare a little bit better with another hand. For all the positives that these figures have and all the changes that they've made and advancements that they've made, I feel like they've still yet to improve the hand. Anyways, you've got the hinge on the elbow, rotation in the forearm, rotation in the hand, waist swivel. Joker's got a nice cut in the leg, which can also allow the leg to move forward and back, bend at the knee, and finally he's got a ball joint in the foot, kind of really just pegged into the socket more than anything else. And that is the Joker's expression pack. Finally, we get ourselves an animated series Joker that we should have got right from day one. There's nothing taken away from the original release from the Joker that DC Collectibles gave us, but the one defaulted head that we got for him, I think, just never sat right with me, no pun intended, and nor did it really sit well on Joker's shoulders. He really cried for some much more exaggerated expressions, which exactly this set gives us, in the sense that we are getting all these additional expressions for Mr. J, and the end result is finally getting a Joker that's a little bit closer to what we get in the cartoon. His body, and although otherwise except his head, everything else came together really well for that original Joker. It's really just the head that I found that suffered the most. Now with that remedied, I'm more likely to display this guy than I'll display the original Joker. He is not, of course, without some flaws. Pegging the hands into the socket areas of the forearm can still be a problem. That's not something that's been changed or probably will change. The hands are very difficult to put into the sockets of the forearms. Of course, he doesn't have the greatest of times standing, so once again, I'm relying on his trusty display stand to get this guy to stand in final looks, and some additional accessories could have also gone a long way. I know anyway you could say, well, they've included some additional accessories with the other releases of Mr. J, but maybe a laughing fish or some other cartoon-specific nods could have also been included. I love the tire inner tube, even though I may not necessarily display it with Joker here. It's really a nice accompanying piece. But I really think he could have come with some other accessories so that, if anything, you could have changed the name from being the Expressions Pack to the Ultimate Joker, which essentially this guy is. With a few little hiccups and some minus accessories, this guy really is the Ultimate Joker. Today we were having a look at the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series. This was the Joker Expressions Pack. Which reminds me, I still got to go back and have a look at the Expressions Batman pack, and I'll do a comparison between that and the Joker that we've looked at right here, so stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. Of course, many more videos will be coming your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you guys next time.